Welcome this evening to district staff, our board members, and guests that are here. This is our regular board meeting for month of April, on April the 9th. Let us begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the moment of silence. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now for the moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is public comments, and I have no cards this evening, so we're going to move forward with the approval of the minutes. Each of you have received a copy of the minutes. Is there a motion to move that forward for approval?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, you have seen the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
It's been moved and it's been second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. The agenda is approved. Okay, hopefully we have a very quick meeting here this evening. We have action items. First thing on that of our action items is the personnel list. The administration recommends approval of the personnel list as presented. Is there a motion to move that forward?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion about the personnel list? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The motion is carried. The next items are policies that we reviewed at our last board meeting, so we should move this very quickly. Our first policy is policy BFC, policy adoption, review, and dissemination of policies, administrative rules, and exhibits. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy BFC, policy adoption as presented. Is there a motion to move it forward?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Is there any discussion about that policy? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The first reading has been approved. The next policy is we're rescinding these policies, policies BFCA, policies BFD, policy BFE, and policy BFF. The administration recommends first reading approval of rescinding policies BFCA, Board Review of Regulations, BFD, Policy Dissemination, BFE, Administration and Poly Absence, and BFF, suspension of policies, and combining these policies into a revised version of policy BFC, policy adoption, review, and dissemination of policies, administrative rules, and exhibits. Is there a motion to move this forward?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved. It's second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The motion is carried. Policy IKE, promotion and retention. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy IKE, promotion and retention as presented. Is there a motion to move it forward?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The motion is carried. Okay, policy BDDH, public participation in board meetings. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy KG, use of school facilities. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy BDDH, public participation in board meetings as presented. Is there a motion to move it forward?
So moved.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
No.
Okay, should we just do a hand vote very quickly? All in favor, please raise your hand.
No, count me.
1, 2, there's 4. All opposed, vote by raising your hand. 3 opposed. The motion is carried. Policy KG, use of school facilities. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy KG, use of school facilities as presented. Is there a motion to move this forward?
So move.
Second.
Been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The motion is carried. 2024-2025 Curriculum Course Guide. The administration recommends approval of the 2024-2025 Curriculum Course Guide as presented. Is there a motion to move that forward?
So moved.
Second.
It's moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The motion is carried. Okay, there we go. The next thing is our board superintendent comments or requests.
I have one.
Yes.
I'd like to make everybody aware that there was a proviso just passed in the House stating that to receive state funds allocated for state aid to classrooms, a school district must implement a policy that prohibits the use of personal electronic communication devices by students during direct classroom instructional time. For purposes of this provision, a personal electronic communication device is considered to be a device not authorized for classroom use by a student utilized to access the internet, Wi-Fi, or cellular telephone signals. And it is not law yet, but I think it's probably going to become law. And I think we need to begin revisiting our policy on cell phones. I understand we have one, and supposedly it restricts use of cell phones during classroom time. However, we're hearing a lot of comments that it is not uniformly enforced throughout the school district. And I think part of this revisit needs to be to put some emphasis on conformity and uniformity enforcement of this, particularly if state money is at risk.
Right. And I know that we have a pretty strict board policy on the use of cell phones in the classroom. And I guess the question is, well, I'm going to ask Mr. Price, would he look into that and see how that is being enforced and how does it fit into our discipline progression?
Sure, and right now, I believe we have some language in ours that gives teachers discretion on whether or not they allow it to be used in classroom for different instructional purposes or for leisure time while they may be working independently on an assignment. So if this proviso is adopted along with the budget, based on the way it's written right now, it would remove the teacher discretion piece and it would not be allowed. So if that were to happen, we would need to revisit our policy and take a look at our plans for expectations and enforcement and then accountability.
Right. Is it possible that we go ahead and revisit that policy at one of our workshop board meetings?
If that's the wish of the board, we don't have to wait
Yeah,
for
I'd
it to
like to
become
do
law.
Because
We
I've
can
heard
go
that
ahead
from
and-
several board members that we'd like to revisit that.
Okay.
Okay.
We can bring that up in our next batch of policies whenever we kick off. We can
Okay.
add that one in for discussion.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Is there-
you.
is there anything else?
Scott, did you say that bill had been introduced or is forthcoming
The proviso has passed the House.
and it's passed the House?
Right.
Okay.
It's in their version of the budget, so it's not going to be voted on separately as a law. So if the budget is adopted as presented, then any provisos that are attached to it automatically go into effect.
My understanding of proviso, if it if it's part of the budget as a proviso, that is only in law for 1 year as long as that budget is in place. Is that correct?
It can be revisited annually. I see Mr. Walters
Yeah.
making his way up front. He's very well versed through his time with the state board, so I'll let you add to that comment, Mr. Walters.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, Mr. Price. I was in Columbia today, and obviously this was a topic of discussion. The House version has it, as Mr. DeBose states. The Senate is now looking at it, and the revision they're discussing is, it would be a proviso to say the State Board of Education would create a model policy for local districts to adopt. Of course, obviously, that would slow the whole process down. There'd be time for input from districts in developing of a model policy. But as for provisos, that is correct. They are annual, but as with many provisos, they become almost permanent. They roll over from year to year. Examples are threat assessment committee requirements that got put in 4 or 5 years ago. It's rolled over every year, and there's certainly a number of others in that same thing. Once they get in there, unless a law comes into place to do that, it stays. Another one that's important, though I did want to mention as well, is the loophole about firearms on school grounds, where the potential was there for an 18-year-old to legally have a firearm on school grounds. There's a proviso in there for that in case the piece of legislation, the bill that's under consideration, doesn't get passed. So at least there'd be something in place to prohibit that until an actual law could be made.
Thank you. While you're here, I want to ask another question has to deal with artificial intelligence. Is there districts looking at policies and how AI is being used in schools? What is going on?
It's under discussion, but it's developing so quickly.
I know.
I don't think anybody's come up with anything yet other than we're all asking one another, what are you doing?
Right.
And I'm sure there'll be some best practices developed, but as it comes along, literally from day to day, it seems to be changing.
Oh, no, it is.
And as it evolves, there are a lot of positive benefits that can come with AI integration. If our teachers, our principals, there are benefits and ways that you can use AI to your advantage with designing lesson plans, creating activities for students to engage in. It draws from a wealth of a knowledge bank through the internet to pull those things together. But just like anything, it can be used for not so good intentions.
Absolutely.
And so whenever those things are introduced, we could say we're going to block AI. Well, we might be able to do that in the classroom, but it doesn't mean that our students won't have it accessible when they go home.
Right.
Or when they walk outside the school building. And so are we going to hide from it, or are we going to embrace it and use it to our advantage, but also educate on the not so genuine intentions that could come along with it?
Right.
So
I really believe we got to figure out a way to embrace it.
I agree.
Because I was reading an article over the weekend where some English teachers were using AI to grade their papers from students. And who's to say the students aren't creating their papers using AI? So, we got to figure out.
And there are programs and software organizations now that are coming up with ways to identify AI-generated work. So it's just like a while back when you remember when radar detectors came out. So the folks who invented radar detectors were the same groups that introduced radar guns to law enforcement. So those who are implementing and creating AI options are also working on AI detection software programs as well.
It's just an interesting age that we're in.
Quick
Yes.
comment, something different from that. The Maryville Elementary School presented Seussical, I guess, last week sometime, and it was an excellent program, and I would encourage people to try to attend any and all of the programs that the schools produce, because they usually are really great, and the students put in a lot of time, effort, and as well as the staff and teachers. So I would encourage people to attend if they get a chance to. I haven't gotten to all that I would like to, but they really are usually, excellent.
And sometimes in the next few weeks, I can't remember the date, I saw it last night on Facebook, has to be true, Shrek at Andrews High School.
Yes.
Junior.
Yep, Shrek Junior. Mr. Price.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Chair and ladies and gentlemen of the board. We are entering the season of awards and recognitions. And earlier this evening, we were able to recognize some of our brightest students in Georgetown County with our Academic Scholars Ceremony. These students worked so hard for so long over many, many years and are scoring at the highest levels on PSAT, SAT, and ACT assessments. So it is so rewarding to get to publicly acknowledge their accomplishments. They are destined to go on to do great things. We recently held our Superintendent's Art Show, where we celebrated some amazing artists who submitted 2D, 3D, and written projects for consideration, and we gave out 13 different first place individual awards to students of all ages and grade levels. Just before spring break, we held our annual tech fair where students submitted entries from all schools that they have been working on and refining throughout the school year. We gave out 63 different awards in the following categories: Innovative Educator, Animation and 3D Modeling, Audio Production, Coding, Creativity and Innovation, Engineering and Robotics, Graphic Design, Internet and Website Development, Passion Projects, Research and Multimedia, Video Production, and Overall Best in Show. We also named our finalists for Georgetown County Teacher of the Year, Support Staff of the Year, Principal of the Year, and Assistant Principal of the Year. Please be sure to congratulate the following individuals for all of their service and leadership to the students, schools, and communities throughout GCSD. Our Teacher of the Year finalists are Michelle Marshall from Andrews Elementary, James Rowell from Andrews High, Cassidy Altman from Browns Ferry, Julia Painter from Carvers Bay High School, Kylie Wilson from Sampit Elementary. Our support staff of the year finalists are Natalie Dudekin from Coastal Montessori, Vancina Jones from Georgetown High, Muriel Sumter from Georgetown Middle, Nancy Crawford from Kensington, and DeLacy Cooper from Sampit. Our Principal of the Year finalists are Dr. Maurice Cobb from Kensington, Travis Klatka from Waccamaw Intermediate, Craig Stone from Georgetown High, and Tawana Grant from Browns Ferry. And our Assistant Principal of the Year finalists are Woodrow Nesbitt from Maryville Elementary, Demetrio Middleton from Waccamaw Intermediate, and Dr. Anthony Poston from Pleasant Hill and Sampit Elementary Schools. Winners for all the categories will be announced in the coming weeks. Last week, while we were on spring break, Georgetown County School District, Horry Georgetown Technical College, and Coastal Carolina University announced the launch of a new partnership program called Teach to Teal. This program will serve students beginning in high school who are interested in becoming a teacher. If selected, these students will have the chance to begin taking college courses in 11th grade at no cost. After graduating from high school, they would go to HGTC for 1 year or straight into Coastal with the ability to finish their degree with only 3 years of college. After 1 year at Horry Georgetown Tech, they would automatically bridge over to Coastal. In addition, students who enter the Teach to Teal program who are also interested in coming back to teach in Georgetown County School District will be eligible to receive a scholarship from GCSD for each year of college through the Project Bold Scholarship Program. As students come back to work with us, a percentage of that is forgiven. So it's kind of like a student teaching loan. But we give an additional scholarship on top of a student teaching loan that if they come back and teach here, 20% of it is forgiven each year, so 5 years of returning to teach in GCSD, you could have up to $15,000 in scholarships forgiven. So it's our way of investing into our future in supplying a quality workforce for our students and our families. And finally, our Student Summer Job Fair will be hosted this Saturday, April 13th from 9 to 12 at Georgetown High School. Students age 15 and older are invited to attend, but will need to register by visiting our website and clicking on the link to register. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Awesome. Great news about Teach to Till. Very exciting. Okay, next on there, we have executive session for the purpose of hearing a student appeal and update on pending litigation. Is there a motion that we go into executive session?
So moved.
Moved and it's been seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are officially in executive session. Is there a motion that we come out of executive session? It's been moved. Second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. There is no action that needs to take place on pending litigation. How about student appeal?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I move that we uphold the decision of the hearing officer regarding student S1.
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion is carried. Since there's no other business to take care of this evening, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.